And hello, everyone. Welcome to Shooting the Brass. I'm Scooter with Scooter's Brass. Shooting the Brass is sponsored by AJI Sporting Goods here in Arizona. If you want a good deal, some good prices, and some friendly staff, hop on over there. They are west of Signal Butte on Main Street on the north side of the street. Tell them Scooter sent you. They like that kind of thing. So, been a long week. Seemed like the work week lasted a month. Yesterday went so fast that I don't even remember it being there. I had a 3-gun match yesterday here in Rio Salado in East Mesa. It was a decent match. It's the first match I've shot in like 2 months. My last match was July 4th. So I'm a bit rusty. Not to mention the fact that this is Arizona, and it rained like hell the night before. So the entire range was squishy. It was sandy and squishy. Wasn't easy moving around. Luckily, I use pretty good shoes that have good cleat type bottoms, so I was able to actually move around okay. But there was ramps and stuff like that were a bit slippery because of all the water. It literally rained like a mother the night before. It was totally a gully washer, toad strangler. Just horrible. But definitely need the rain. Can't complain about that. We've been under drought for a long time. So all the rain that we're getting this year is actually, filling up and replenishing the reservoirs, which will be good for us here in the desert when we need to have water. So one of the couple of things I wanted to talk about today. First thing I want to talk about was something I found out yesterday when I was doing some checking with my reloads. I found that the early reloads that I made for 9mm, some of them were a bit long. Now, in the Eternity Handbook of Cartridge Loading, as you can see here, good book, gives you a lot of stuff. It tells you what the actual overall length, or COL, of a bullet should be. It tells you bullet diameter, max COL, which is completed. It's the longest range that you're supposed to have. Max case length, case trim length, all that kind of stuff. I found that some of my rounds were a little long. The bullet itself, the projectile, was not inserted far enough to drop it down below the COL. So I've been kind of going through this pack right here. Luckily, I've only built about 100 rounds of 9mm total, actually 200 rounds. But I'm just going through and retapping those or pressing those to get the bullet down a little farther because they were hanging up in the magazine. So I'd get about halfway through, and then I'd get a long one in there, and it would bind up the magazine and would stick. So it wouldn't go up, it wouldn't go down, it wouldn't do anything. So if you're reloading and you're new like I am, keep an eye on one of those things or on that kind of thing, because you never know when you're going to have that problem. And you don't want to have that problem when you really need your ammo, of course, for whatever reason. To the match yesterday. There was 4 stages. Had a total of 72 participants. I didn't do great because I'm a bit rusty. I think I was 53rd out of 72, somewhere in there. I had some good stages. I had some malfunction problems. I do use the VR-80 semi-automatic shotgun, and normally I don't have problems with it, but yesterday I decided to use one of the 19-round magazines. And for those of you that are not familiar with the VR-80 19-round magazine, it's basically 2 pieces, 2 halves, that are joined in the center by a clamp that goes around and holds them together. Now, if that gets loose or whatnot, then you can get your rounds down in there, but then the follower coming up through the magazine will hang on that slice between the 2 magazine pieces, so that it doesn't feed right. So I was getting the first stage I used, I had to drop that magazine halfway through because I just couldn't cycle the shells through right. It was double feeding. It was doing weird stuff. So I dropped that out, and luckily I was carrying my 12-round magazines, which I've never had problems with. They've always been very, very true to form, but they are one piece. So I switched to those, and I didn't have any more problems with the shotgun the rest of the day. Magazines, they're important. I mean, it doesn't seem like there could be a problem that would affect you in a match, but I guarantee you, in this case, with a split magazine like the 19 rounders, it can affect your feed. So keep that in mind if you use a mag-fed shotgun. I didn't have trouble necessarily with my pistol or my rifle. What I did have trouble with was positioning. Now, the first stage that we did, they had 4 long-range targets. 2 of the targets were at 80 yards, and they were hanger plates. And then they had 2 silhouettes, one at 240 and one at 300. They set them up so you couldn't really easily see the distance targets because they were lined up behind the 80-yard targets. So for the left 240-yard target, I had to actually shoot through the A-frame of the left 80-yard target to hit the target behind it. Wasn't easy, but it worked. And then on the second distance target, the 300-yard target, I zoomed in to 6 power because I'm blind as a bat anyway. And so what I didn't see was that I was shooting straight at the supports of the 80-yard target. So I kept hearing a ting, a ting, a ting. And finally the RO's like, hey, you're hitting the stand on the front target, because it was just perfectly lined up so that stand, and I couldn't see it because I was zoomed past it, that I was hitting that target. I hit it like 4 times. He's like, yeah, we could see the powder coming, or the impact every time you hit it. As soon as I moved over about 2 inches, then I nailed the target at 300 yards and I was done. But yeah, so you have to be careful when you're using a scope when you zoom in. You could be not seeing closer objects that may be preventing your bullet from traveling, which I found out yesterday. So that kind of cost me that stage. This next stage, we had to shoot from inside the body of a Huey helicopter. And I think it's great doing that, but we had 6 targets on a hanger rack at 80 yards that we had to shoot from inside the helicopter. And then we had 2 targets at 300 and 306 yards. Now, the problem with this is there's nothing to prop yourself on or to steady your gun on inside this helicopter. So I basically had grabbed a hold of one of the walls that had a hole in it and propped my rifle on my hand. My big mistake was I then stretched out so I could use the rifle. All of my body weight was on this hand. So as I was shooting, and you can see in the actual GoPro video, I was kicking right. So I was missing all the targets just to the right, especially the ones out at 300 yards. I compensated, figured it out, ended the stage, but yeah, it cost me that stage too, because the second half of the stage was all shotgun, and I nailed that pretty quick. I'm pretty good with the shotgun. So that was that stage. My best stage was stage 1, and stage 1 was 20 shotgun targets. That's all it was. So I loaded up my 12-round magazines and knocked that one out. Went clean on that one. The last stage was a stage in 2 parts. And it was rifle pistol. The first part of the stage was in pistol bay 3. And you had to shoot 6 hanger plates at about 100 yards from a shooting surface. Then move to what I would say would be a suspension bridge. And it was basically a bridge built on a frame held up by chain. So as you walked on it, it did this, right? And you had 6 targets at roughly 5 yards that you had to hit while you were swaying on this bridge. And to make matters even, worse, they threw no shoots in there blocking the targets. Once you finished those 6, then you had to shoot the 6 long ones from area C out at 100 yards again. Then you dump your rifle into the long gun barrel. You pick up an ammo can and you take off running. And you had to run over to pistol bay 4, which is probably about a 50, 60 yard sprint around a berm. Throw the ammo box into a container, then draw your handgun, and there's 11 targets there that you had to take out. I thought it was kind of funny too, because there was one target that I shot at, but I went under it. because it's a longer. It was probably 25, 30 yards out, so I was shooting low on it, so I went under it. So I got did not hit on that one. And then another one I hit low also, but I did hit it. I just hit it once though, so I got a target not neutralized. Failed to neutralize, FTN. And then another target, I hit it 4 times because in one position I headshotted it over the top of a no shoot, and then I went around the barrel and saw it again, thinking it was a new target, so I shot it twice in the chest. So, you overshoot some, you undershoot others. It happens. But it's always good practice. I mean, I'm not the best and the brightest out there. I'm not one of the younger guys that's really, really fast. I'm not one of those real experienced guys that's really, really accurate. I'm just your average one. Sometimes I do good, sometimes I don't do so good, but I'm still learning. I'm still training. I'm still, I'm getting better. I have been for 3 years now. So next month will be my 3rd year anniversary of shooting 3-gun. So I'll be signing up for the September 3-gun match at Rio Salado. I think I can't remember what the date is. It's the second Saturday of September. So I think it's the week after Labor Day. So the Saturday following Labor Day is when that match happens. And that'll be my 3-year anniversary. I think to do something special, maybe I'll use weird guns. Like maybe I'll take my pump shotgun with the 20-round magazine instead of my VR-80. I don't know what I'll do. But it'll be fun. It'll be enjoyable. I really enjoy that. And that's kind of a warm-up. Towards the end of the month is the Arizona State PCC Championships, which I'm shooting again for the 3rd time. And then the week after that is Red October, Cold War, it'll be the 2nd time I've signed up for it. But the 1st time I'll actually shoot it because this time I'll remember to take my ammo and my magazines with me instead of leaving them in the garage. So now we had some new shooters out there. So it was nice to see that we had some new shooters. It was one of the guys on my squad that he said it was his 2.5 match because on one match he disqualified himself. I think he broke the 180 is what he said. So he got disqualified on one of the 3 matches that he's participated in. But he was just shooting 2-gun. He had a lot of questions about 3-gun because he wants to get into 3-gun. So we were talking shotguns, and I was going, kind of giving him a rundown on, my experience from then until now and how I've improved and what my improvements have been and how my gear has changed since then, that kind of thing. So it's nice to be able to help out new shooters who want to participate because honestly, it's a really good competitive thing to do. I really enjoy shooting. I really enjoy competing. Like I said, I'm not out to win any awards because I know I'm probably not going to ever be as fast as the furious that are out there, but I'm having a hell of fun. So to me, that's what's most important is just enjoying myself and getting my skills better. Because you figure I'm probably now, when you take all of the gun owners in the United States, I'm probably in the top 10% of trained people with firearms because I've got a lot of, so much experience now, running gun with shotgun, running gun with pistol, running gun with rifle. It does not anything has to do with tactics or anything like that. It just has to do with the fact that I'm more familiar with my firearms. I'm better because of practice. And that's what everybody out there really needs to be doing is practicing. I'm always a big fan of training and practice because it makes you better. It makes you better than you are now, and it makes you better down the road to where if you actually need to use your firearms for something other than shooting at targets, you'll be ready for it. Somewhat. Nobody's ever really ready if they have to actually be in that situation until you're there. But one of the interesting things that he said was, he says, I've been shooting guns for a long time, but shooting like this, and he was talking about the 3-gun match, is a lot different than shooting at the range, which is true because you're shooting at a static target. It's not moving. It's just sitting there at a predetermined distance, and you have time to think about your shot. You have time to aim properly. I mean, it's all one of those things where, yeah, you could be a marksman at 100 yards at a pistol bench or a rifle bench in a main range, and then you go to 3-gun, you can't hit the side of a barn because you don't have the movement and target acquisition and changing of weapons and reloading weapons under pressure, which is the big deal. So you're not under pressure to do this stuff fast. So it's one of those things that it takes to train. So it was a good match. I enjoyed it. I hope to have the video put together. I was going to do it this weekend, but yesterday, the heat and the humidity and everything kind of wiped me out. So I was in bed early. I've been busy running around today doing stuff around the house because we've got to go back to work tomorrow. Laundry, dishes, playing with the dogs, that kind of thing. It happens, it's part of life. So that's where we're at today. Now, I've noticed from going to the gun stores lately that it looks like the ammo shortage is starting to ease up, which means that it may be a lot easier to obtain ammo now. They had plenty of 223 and 308. I think they had some 9mm. They had 22. They pretty much had a little of everything and a lot of some stuff. Let's put it that way. So I'm a big fan of shopping local. And, of course, I always buy all my stuff. 99.99% of the stuff that I buy at my sponsor's place because, I get discounts and because they're good people. It's supporting a local business. I try not to order online unless it's stuff that I can't get at my local gun store. For example, they don't sell reloading equipment and supplies at AJI Sporting Goods, so I've had to buy powder and primers and brass and bullets and stuff like that elsewhere. But when it comes down to just buying ammo, buying guns, I just picked up a new 22 long rifle pistol, a Ruger MK4, for training because I want to be a firearms instructor here in the near future. Always check your local gun stores first because they're family-owned businesses. You're helping your own community, and that's what's really important is putting your money back into your own community. So, I would recommend doing that. If you can't find stuff at your local gun store, then I would say, okay, well, start looking at other close by local gun stores that may not exactly be close to you, but may not be too far away. That way you're still putting your money in locally. I'm not a very big fan of boosting corporate profits when I can ensure that somebody has a paycheck when they go home because they're here locally. So that's where we're at with that. One of the other things I want to talk about too is I've been seeing a lot online. I try not to get too much into the COVID conversation because honestly, the COVID conversation has become so politicized that it's not even really worth having that conversation because it's just not. Now, the part that I want to talk about is messaging. Now, back in 2016, I was a big Bernie Sanders supporter. I was elected as one of his delegates to the DNC convention. I wasn't able to go because of work and of other things, so I had to hand it off to somebody else. But, Bernie pretty much got railroaded long before the primary even got on its feet. The DNC, they wanted Hillary, period. And so that's what they did. It's really easy for those in power to make a king or a queen on the backs of the people that they're supposed to be representing. So it was kind of a bummer and everything, and it sucked that he lost the primary. But the problem came after that was the Hillary supporters trying to badger and guilt and push the Bernie supporters onto a candidate they couldn't support. Now, I had conversations with a lot of people about that and told them, you're going to push away more people by trying to force them to be on your side as opposed to giving them reasons to be on your side. You need to tell them, okay, I'm sorry your candidate didn't win, but here's the good things that our candidates could do that you might support, that you might be, and try to bring people in that way. We as a society has turned into guilting and shaming people to try to get our way as opposed to reaching out and trying to, hold the hand and bring people in a positive manner. It's too much like negative now. And I'm seeing the same paradox or parallelism or whatever you want to call it, parallels to COVID. Because now you got the vaccinated that are trying to badger and guilt and shame the non-vaccinated into getting the vaccine. They're not taking time to actually listen to what the people who don't want to get vaccinated are saying. Okay, they're not listening to them. They're immediately assuming that if they don't want the vaccine, then they're an anti-vaxxer. And that's what they call them, and that's the way they treat them. That's not the way you get people to do things, by being negative, by trying to bully them, bash them, shame them, guilt them, or make fun of them because they're not agreeable to what you believe is right. And we see that in politics all day long, not just with COVID, but pretty much everywhere. You always have people that are specifically, all they can do is be negative towards people who don't want to do what they think they should do. Okay, well, maybe there's reasons why people don't want to get the vaccine that aren't anti-vaxxer or aren't, I'm worried about the chip. Me, I've already had COVID. Okay, my body responded to COVID with a vengeance and destroyed it within just a day or two. I mean, I literally had probably 2 or 3 days of symptoms, except for the taste loss that came back later. But I only had a fever for a day and a half, and then it was gone. I didn't have any chest congestion. I have a dry cough because of my blood pressure medicine, but it's not a lot. I was a little fatigued. I was a little tired, but not enough to where it caused problems. So what do you say to somebody like me that says, I don't need the vaccine? My body already has a proven immunoresponse to COVID. So why should I go out there and get this vaccine when my body is fully capable of destroying it on its own without the vaccine? So these people are saying, well, if you get vaccinated and you do catch it, you get through it easier. Okay, well, so what does that mean for me? Because like I said, I had a fever for a day and a half. I didn't have any of the other symptoms really, except for the loss of taste. So how much easier can I get through it? By taking the shot. And can you guys answer me that? Can anybody that's pro-vaccine answer that question? Why should a person who had COVID, whose body responded dramatically and said, no, not today, get out of here, COVID, and beat its ass, why would I have to go get the vaccine? If you can explain why I would have to go get the vaccine when my body already reacted better than the vaccine is, why I should go get it. So anybody that wants to, comment on that or answer that, please put it in the chat room. I'd like to know, because I don't see an explanation, a logical, truth life, scientific explanation other than herd immunity or, well, if you go get it, then other people will be safe. Well, we know now that people that have been vaccinated can still get COVID and can still transmit COVID even if they have zero symptoms. So the only benefit that I can get from the shot right now is pretty much nothing, because I've already kicked its ass once without even breathing hard. It doesn't make sense to me. But if you look online, there's people telling me, well, you're selfish, you don't care about other people, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I do care about other people. That's why I don't really hang out with a lot of people at this point in time, is because, we're kind of in a pandemic. But that doesn't mean that I should go out there and get the shot. If you have reason to go get the shot, if you have a compromised immune system, if you have health issues that may make it worse by getting it, then sure, go right ahead and go out there and get it. That's on you. That's your decision. But from a logical standpoint, I just don't see any reason why I should go out and get it when my body has already just obliterated it on its own. I already have the immune response necessary to be able to defeat it. I don't get sick very often. My wife doesn't get sick very often. We both have very strong, healthy immune systems. And that's what the immune system is for, right? So, like I said, if you have a weak immune system, by all means, go get the shot. But quit trying to shame people that don't want the shot into getting the shot. Quit trying to bully them and embarrass them and belittle them, because it's just gonna make them keep their stance even harder, right? if you want to help people understand, stop yelling at them, stop belittling them, and actually try to have an actual conversation. Listen to what they're saying, okay? Even if you don't agree with it, even if you think it's bullshit, listen to them. Because as soon as you tune them out when they're trying to explain why, and try to make them feel like make them feel guilty or bully them into it, you've lost them, and it's not even worth having the conversation anymore. And we as a society have lost the art of intelligent conversation between one another because we don't respect anybody anymore. We don't respect ourselves. We don't respect each other. We don't treat each other with respect. We've lost our humanity because we're all online now and nobody really socially interacts anymore. You can't have interpersonal communication with people because everything these days gets turned political. Every single issue that you throw out there, everything turns into a political football. I can't tell you how many times I've posted something from my day or my wife's posted something from her day on Facebook, and it has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with any economics. It's just a random thought of this happened to me at work today, blah, 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 blah. And almost every single time someone comments, well, that's what happens when you elected Biden, or that's what happens because of Trump, or no. If I have a bad day at work, it has nothing to do with who's president at the time or who voted for who. It has to do with I had a bad day at work. Why politicize it? Why turn it into politics? We as a people need to stop that shit because that's our biggest problem right now is making every single thing that you see and hear political. So, end rant. That's all my political talk for the day. This right here is a very, very good mixed berry smoothie. Get your antioxidants in there, your vitamins in there, and if you add vodka, it's good stuff. So we're looking at trying to do some what would you call it? Self health, mental. You can take mental health days for yourself or. Over the next couple of months, we're going to do some camping because we want to get out away from things. We want to unplug. So we've got, we've got time off because of the state PCC championships. And then I'm taking my birthday off. And of course, we got Thanksgiving. For Thanksgiving, we're going to go camping. My family, we don't really have a whole lot of friends around here, and my family has all moved away. So we're going to load up the dogs and go out and just camp out in the middle of nowhere just to decompress. Decompression. That's what she was just saying. Decompression. Yeah, she's murmuring back there in the background. I don't know if you can hear her. But anyway, and then we normally take the last 2 weeks of the year off for to basically reboot at the end of the year. We usually either take the last week or 2 weeks, depending on how the holidays fall. Because this year, our holidays for Christmas are Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, our paid holidays. And then for New Year's, it's, I think, Friday. I think we get 1 day off for New Year's. But for Christmas, we get Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off. So we said, the hell with this. We're going to take the whole 2 weeks off, and it costs us half the PTO time than it would if we were just taking 2 weeks off. We get 18 days off, and it only costs us 48 PTO hours. So you can't beat that deal, right? Got it. And that's one of the things that we like to do. People don't, and our friend Kara, she has her, what do they call it? Brunch with the Babes or whatever it is. She has a Brunch with the Babes podcast where her and some of her girls all get online and talk about issues and things going on and this, that, and the other. One of the things they were talking about today was self-care and how nobody ever self-cares anymore. Nobody takes care of themselves. My explanation was like with work. I keep trying to tell people at work is not my life. Okay. When they ask, well, why are you taking time off? And it's like, because I can take my time off because I have things other than work in my life that are important. And we don't do that much anymore. I think we're kind of all so programmed now that we feel that we are obligated to work our lives away without remembering that our work is basically how we sustain our life, but our life is what we do away from work. Okay. So away from work, things that we do is we like to sit in the hot tub and relax. We like to go camping. We like to go hiking. We like to hop on the motorcycle and go out to the lake for breakfast out there, which is really a good breakfast. If you ever go up the Apache Trail out to Tortilla Flat, stop in for breakfast. They have wonderful breakfast. They got really good food all day long. But the breakfast, yeah, good stuff, Mater. So, yeah, I mean, you got to look at and kind of compare your life to how you want to do things, what you want to do is to, and then try to organize your life, your work life, the life that you need to do to support your regular life to make it happen. Because people don't take enough time for themselves anymore. People don't take wellness days from work. People don't go out and do things that they enjoy. Now, I mean, lately it's partly because of the pandemic and, you know, a lot of things that normally would do, you can't do anymore unless you're wearing a mask or whatever. But in general, people just don't take the time for themselves anymore for them. Constantly telling people I know, you need some you time. You need some time just for yourself. You know, I've got one friend that, you know, she's a single mother and she takes care of her daughter. And I keep telling her that one of her biggest problems is she never takes time for herself. She's always mother first, worker second, provider third, and time for herself is down at a distant 240th place. And I think a lot of people are like that these days. Most people don't take time for themselves. Most people don't work on their wellness, their own inside self. They don't take care of themselves properly. They don't eat right. They don't sleep right. Got to do it, folks. That's one of those things. It's just important for your own health and sanity to be able to do stuff like that. What else should we talk about? I'm kind of low on topics for the day. If you guys out there listening have anything that you want to talk about, please go ahead and comment it in the chat room and we can have that discussion, or email it at scootersbrass@gmail.com and I'll take a look at it and we can read it or we can talk about it. You know, because it's a good thing to do. It's nice to be able to have discussions. People don't talk anymore. People talk at you. Nobody talks with you. I'm talking at you right now because none of you are talking with me. So you see how that works? But in general, though, I would recommend that people start just taking a little bit more time to care about themselves, to take that wellness day when you need it, you know? And if the company kind of guilts you by, you know, hey, you know, you missed this day, we really needed you here. No, sorry, I had something I had to do. I had things to do. And that was one of the other things, too. When people tell you, that was one of the conversations that Kara and her girls had. When people ask you to do something, there is no reason at all why you should have to explain when you say no. There's no reason. So if work says, hey, can you work this weekend? Say, no, I'm sorry, I can't. There's no reason why you have to explain why you can't. There's no reason at all. Just say no. And if they press, say, look, no, it's my private business. It's outside of this job. It's not on normal work hours. No. But then again, that's an explanation, right? You're explaining why you can't do it. So the best thing is say no. Just no. You know, and when people push, say no. Plain and simple. Don't let them try to give you reasons why you should if you know you just don't want to. If you need that time away, if there's something that you need to do, it's not the company's business what you do in your off time. And that's one of the things that killed me about the beginning of the pandemic. Our company was specifically trying to tell people what to do when they were not at work. Be responsible. Don't gather. Don't go to restaurants. Don't do this. Don't do that. It's like, look, when I punch out, that's when you're done telling me what I can and can't do. Okay? It's like right now we have a travel policy. We have two travel policies. One is a work travel policy, and one is a personal travel policy. So if you do this, then you're required to do this, 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 and this. If you do this outside of work on your own time, which is none of our business, right? So, know people at work that, for example, if you travel outside of the state, when you come back, according to company policy, you're supposed to take a 14-day quarantine or 10-day quarantine with a negative COVID test result. Oh, the brass is done. Yeah, I'm picked up a bunch of. We picked up a whole bunch of brass yesterday at the range. Stop! Hey, it's enough. Stop. Okay, it's not going to stop. It's just going to keep beeping at me, even though I turned it off. There we go. All right. So what was I saying now? Oh yeah, travel policy. So the company tells you that if you leave the state, how do they know? How do they know if you're off duty and you're on a weekend and you leave the state? How do they know if you travel? How do they know if you got on an airplane or not? They don't. So how can they mandate you staying at home for a 14-day quarantine if you travel on your personal time? Personally, I know people at work that have traveled outside of the state. Did they come back to a quarantine? No, because they didn't tell anybody. Well, they did tell some people, but they didn't tell everybody. So everybody didn't know, only some people knew, so nobody blabbed. Because I'm a firm believer that my time away from work is my time, and my company has nothing to say about it. Ruger, on the other hand, apparently has a lot to say right now. Probably because he heard somebody outside. Ruger, come here. Come here. Come here. Hey, come here. Come here. No. Right, now here's Joey, too. This is Joey, as you can see right here. Come here. Come here, Riz. And this is Ruger. Both of the scooter hounds. Good dogs. They like to bark, especially this one. He loves to bark. They're good boys. They're bestest boys. Keep that in mind. Your dogs are always bestest boys and bestest girls. Treat them that way, right? No, I'm not going to show them the hedgehog. She's wanting me to show you their toys. You know, people get canceled on their live feed for showing toys on screen. Never mind. Anyways, so I mean, that's the thing. Take your wellness time. Take your vacations. The company only basically owns you for the time that you're actually punched in. It's one of the reasons why I didn't like the idea of becoming salary, and I still am not salary. Because when you're salary, they kind of own you, or at least that's the way the perception. Whereas if you're hourly, sorry, if I'm not punched in, I'm not on the clock. I'm in the facilities department, so I manage the actual facilities team and the facility itself. I'm also part of the safety team and the ERT response team and all that other stuff. But when I go home, if they can't reach me on my cell phone, that's tough luck, because I don't get paid extra to be on call, right? So if I'm at home and it's 6 o'clock in the evening and the facility catches on fire, they better just call 911. So we had a problem, 2 weeks ago, I think, where, nope, there goes Ruger again. 2 weeks ago, I think it was, there was a facility issue. The site manager called me, or not the site manager, the production manager called me. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear my phone because I was in bed, honestly. And so he couldn't get a hold of me. So then he called the other guy, and the other guy didn't hear his phone ring, so he didn't answer. So they started panicking. And he hears himself. He's hearing himself on the TV in the living room barking. So he's barking at himself. It's yeah, okay. He just keeps going. But anyway, so the thing is when they finally did reach my coworker, it was an issue that wasn't an issue. And Yeah, so they're bugging you in your time off. They're interrupting you because whenever they expect you to answer the phone and they don't pay you for being on call, you can't go out to the movies with your family. You can't have a drink. You can't go out to a restaurant. You can't do anything other than just sit around at the house in case they're going to call you when you're on call. And if they don't compensate you for that time, sorry, I ain't doing it. And if they I'll be more than happy to, if they make an issue of it, I'll be more than happy to turn in my work phone because I won't give them my personal phone number. And if they do happen to have it someplace and they start calling my work phone, I'll block them because that's my personal phone. It has nothing to do with work. Now, if they want me to be on call, they need to pay me to be on call. So if I'm on call for one shift, for whatever, then I should be making money while I'm on call. Even if it's not full rate, maybe for every 2 hours I'm on call, I get 1 hour pay. It doesn't matter to me, but you have to compensate people for doing that. One of our other facilities, that was one of the big complaints that the maintenance guys had, was they were basically instructed by the site manager, you're on call tonight. Didn't pay them unless they came in, but you're on call tonight. So you basically have to halt your entire life. Don't let corporations do that shit to you. Don't let companies do you that way. Because the companies are your best friend when they're trying to keep you and trying to get you to do your job. But as soon as you want something for yourself that has to do with your personal life and being away from the job, all of a sudden you're the enemy. So keep an eye on that. What else has been going on? I have not been paying a whole bunch of attention to what's going on in Afghanistan right now. Because honestly, Afghanistan has no impact on my life. It's all the way across the other side of the planet. It's not impacting my life at all right now. I understand from what I've seen that we're pulling our troops out and the Taliban is now retaking over all of the stuff that we took away during the Afghan wars. Okay. Like I said, it's not really affecting me. And then there people are going to say, well, it will impact you because they're terrorists. Well, yeah, they're terrorists and they hate us because we have been meddling in their business for decades, for 100 years. That's going to piss everybody off if you have people that are always in your business. We need the United States need to stop being the world police force because we're not. We need to spend more time on our own turf. Do I agree with the Taliban and their belief system and how they treat people and stuff like that? Hell no. But that's their system in their country, which they are autonomous with. It's not my business. It's not the United States business to go over there and try to tell them how to live their lives or how to whatever. Especially since when they were fighting the Russians, we were arming them. So we armed them for a long time as they fought with Russia. Now they're fighting with us. Do you don't see a pattern here? So I'm not going to comment too much about Afghanistan because I don't know the specifics. What I do know is that we have lost a lot of men and women to that war. And at this point, if it's all going back to the way it was before 9/11, what was the point? What was the point of all of that money, time, lives spent over the past 20 years to just pull out and just let it get destroyed back into what it was 20 years ago? If you know the answer to that question, you're smarter than me. So, but that's pretty much all I'm going to say about that. Other news, the Olympics is over. Finally, thank God. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan of the Olympics. I think it's fun to watch curling because I just don't get the game. It just amuses me. I do like the biathlon because I think that anybody that can ski for 10 kilometers and then shoot 3/4 size targets at 50 yards with a 22 and then ski another 10 miles or kilometers and then come back and do it again without missing is pretty damn impressive. Okay. That's a hell of a skill set. I understand we did pretty good in all of the Olympic events that required firearms. Go figure. Although we do have, there was one, and I can't remember, I think she's from Russia. She won the gold, and I think it was a marksman's gold, and I can't remember the name of the event, but she was using I think it was a compressed air pistol, a pellet gun. .177 diameter pellets or whatever. And a lot of people got upset with looking at this girl as she was shooting because she was only using one hand. She had her hand in her pocket, and she looked like she was just doing foreheads that like to mansplain everything. Went off about how she was going to have all this kick and all this other stuff without actually realizing that she won the gold, number one, so she obviously knows what she's doing. And number two, it wasn't a .44 Magnum. It was a pellet gun, a pellet rifle. No, it was a pellet pistol. So it didn't really have much in the way of kick at all. So, folks, all of you out there, quit trying to mansplain everything. And I'm not just talking to men, I'm talking to women too. If all you can do is try to explain things to people that they may not understand or they don't understand your opinion, that's called mansplaining. I don't care what your gender is. Stop it. Stop doing that. It's annoying as fuck. Oh, sorry. It's annoying as hell. Is that better? Yeah, that's my show. If I swear, that's mine. I got the disclaimer down here. See? Live with Scooter's Brass. Warning, you may hear foul language and dogs barking. Today you've heard both. So, we're famous. So, upcoming, we're here in August now. The year has flown by. I don't know where the year went. It literally has just went and gone. But here we are. We're in August. We're coming up on the holiday months. And there's some things that I want you to think about over the next month or two in dealing with the holidays. First off, the holidays are for family. If you have disagreements and problems with people in your family that you cannot spend your time with them or the holiday time with them, find your friends and family that's not blood related that you can spend that time with. Don't spend it alone. One of the reasons why we're doing the Thanksgiving camping trip is because we know a lot of people that don't have family, aren't welcome with their family, don't have a lot of friends, feel outcast. So we're invited. We actually reserved a group campground at one of the lakes in the area, and we're inviting. We can have up to 49 people on the campground, inviting those that have nowhere else to go from a specific community that we're a part of. And we're going to have a really, really big potluck. We've already offered to, not only did we secure the campsite, but we're also going to bring big, huge honking turkey, big, huge honking ham, maybe even a big, huge honking brisket, and break bread with people to create the family so that people aren't alone during the holidays. Think about doing that. If you know people that don't have family, that don't have friends, or that have few friends and that are possibly going to be alone for the holidays, bring them in. It doesn't hurt you to do so. It doesn't cost you anything. Ask them to bring a side dish. But please, let's try to be more inclusive in our country instead of more diversive. I may not agree with some of the things that some of the people in my family believe in. That doesn't mean I don't like them. That doesn't mean I don't want to spend time with them. Just right now, it's geographically impossible because they're all at least minimum 1,500 miles away. And yeah, we can't just, fly out to see one of them because none of them live in the same place. So I've got my mom and my sister in Seattle. My brother's in Montana. My other brother's in Pennsylvania. My sister's in Ohio. My son's in California. It's just, it's geographically impossible at this point, especially with the way things are going, COVID-wise, to be able to spend that time with my family. So we're opening up our own campground and bringing people that don't have a family. Think about those that you can do that for. Just a little bit of kindness goes a long way into making people happier people. Happier people are less diversive people and less agitated people and don't show up on the news. Just saying. Now, one of the other things I want to talk about, they had a mass shooting in England. I know. Go figure. I mean, a country that you're not allowed to have guns in unless they're hunting guns, and those are really, really, really limited. Yeah. Guy went nuts, went out, killed a bunch of people. I think it was mostly his family members. I think. Like I said, I haven't delved into the actual backstory of it to find that out. It just seemed odd that they would have a mass shooting in a country that prohibits gun ownership. But yeah, funny how that works. How does that work? So you pro or anti-gunners here in the United States, how does it work? Explain to me how strict gun control stops people from getting a hold of a gun and killing people. Because obviously, that don't work. Because there's always another way around it. The people that are going to get a gun and do harm don't care about the law. And we know for a fact they can still get their hands on a firearm if they really want to without going through the process. So while you're sitting there routing about how you need to put some common sense gun control in there to stop people from gun violence, are you guys really that stupid? It don't work that way. It's never worked that way. So how about you work with pro-gun people? I didn't say work with, okay? Work with. Don't tell. Work with. And actually come up with a real discussion on how to stop violence. Because gun violence is not the only violence out there affecting every American in the United States. Why only concentrate on the gun one? Because it's big, black, and scary? Unless you get that one that looks like Legos. That's definitely not black, and it's definitely not scary, but it is lethal. That's the thing. People, you got to think about these things. It doesn't always work the way you have it in your head. We know that gun control is not going to work. There's already more guns in the United States than there are people. And those aren't even counting the ones that haven't been purchased yet. So think about it. If you really care about trying to find a way to stop violence, that's what your focus needs to be, not violence with guns, because violence with guns is not the only kind of violence out there that's harming people. I think actually more people are killed and injured with knives in the United States than they are firearms. So think about that when you're, going to your I hate gun meeting. I hate guns. I hate people that own guns, that type of thing, because that's really what you need to start concentrating on is how to stop the violence. There's a lot of ways to stop the violence. Number one, social diversity. Okay, quit. A lot of these things are crimes of passion. They're not calculated. They're not planned out. Crimes of passion, right? We need to start focusing on people with mental health issues. How do we stop people with mental health issues from getting a gun? What would be considered a mental health issue that should not have an impact on whether or not you have a gun? For example, if you have neurological issues that cause pain, it's still kind of a mental health thing, but it's not affecting your cognitive power, your morals, or any of that. Where's the definition for that? Where do we define mental health issues, or what would preclude somebody from owning a gun for mental health issues? How do you diagnose it? Okay, what happens if the people in your area that diagnose mental health issues are pro-gun? They're going to say, nope, no problem. What if they're anti-gun? No one's going to be able to get a gun because everyone that has a mental health issue will be suspect and problematic about getting a gun. Well, why do people use gun and gun violence? Most of them are during committing crimes. Why are they committing crimes? Because they can't afford to live? When it costs you $1,500 a month for an apartment, for a one-bedroom apartment, and you're making about $2,000 a month, okay, that gives you $500 to pay for your car, your food, your gas, your utilities. The fastest way is to rob somebody else's stuff, right? Let's concentrate on fixing that kind of stuff and get away from the I hate guns thing. I'll be 55 in October. I have never used a gun in a crime. I've never shot anybody in the face. I've shot lots of targets, but I would hope that I would never have to actually take a gun and shoot at somebody. I really don't want to do that. I can't imagine the mental guilt of having to take a life, much less the actual impact. So when you think about stuff like that, think about it from that point of view. Think outside the box. Don't think inside the box. Because when you think inside the box, you're trapped by walls. Go figure. So anyway, that's about it for today. Like I said, if you have any topics you want me to cover or talk about, if you want to be a guest on the show, if you have some ideas, email me at scootersbrass@gmail.com, or, post links or message me on Facebook or on YouTube or whatever. I'm always open for a nice conversation, just as long as the conversation is respectful. So have a good week, everybody. Have a safe week. Try to stay out of trouble. If you do get in trouble, I hope you don't get caught. That's not saying that I want you to go out and get in trouble. It just means that, sometimes people goof up, and I usually see them on the side of the road with a cop behind their car on the way to work. But yeah, have a good week. Tell the people you live with, tell the people that you love them, because you may not have the chance to do that ever again. Life is fragile. Life is quick. I lost my dad in May. I never had the chance to actually go back and talk to him again. I got to talk to him before he passed for a little while, a week or two, I think, before he passed away. But still, it's never enough when they're gone. So take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. Don't be a dick online. Come on, let's get past that, because there's way too many of them out there like that. And join us next week. I'll try to have some interesting content to talk about. Maybe we'll go in a little more in depth into types of equipment upgrades or types of tactical equipment that you could be using for preparing for natural disasters. We kind of touched on that before, but there's other things that we can talk about. Hopefully, maybe one of these days I'll be able to get some more guests on the show, and that way it's not just me blathering on, yap, and going on and on and on. So thanks for coming in today. Thanks for listening in. Hope you have a great week, and be safe.